before we move on from sports and streaming and what the future might look like, I did want to hit one follow up we got to the Apple conversation. This is from Sam. He says, as a big time sports viewer myself, I can relate to Ben's desire to just have a courtside seat perspective for NBA games, but I think the novelty would wear off pretty quickly. You want the angles, the replays, the shifts in perspective. I would feel like I was missing out if I had the limited view of a fan in the crowd. At the same time, feeling immersed in the game would be tricky if the cameras keep shifting, forcing me to reorient where I am on the court. And so then he includes this link to an Instagram reel and says, I loved this video mock up for F1, and I think a similar concept could be applied to all types of sports. Less than feeling like you're in the arena, it's more of a command center approach. You get all the info, all the angles, all the perspectives in a way not even someone in the building could get. This feels like an experience much more native to an augmented / virtual content device. Do you have any thoughts? I made sure to grab a Reels version just for Ben. So, Ben, I read that for a few reasons. Most importantly, there's no greater testament to the community that you and I are cultivating here with Sharp Tech than Sam making sure to send you that clip as an Instagram reel, knowing that that's your preferred platform for video consumption and particularly random F1 videos. But also, I think he's right that ultimately the single camera view or the dugout view for sports would get old. The novelty would wear off if you're talking about people who are addicted to sports and are watching like 100 games a year. And so I think some sort of hybrid model makes more sense. But then also the video he sent with this F1 mock-up where basically for people who can't watch the video, we'll put it in the show notes, get to Instagram Reels. You can experience it yourself. There's like an augmented reality track sitting there in front of you and then a TV in the background that has the race on it. I don't know that that's appealing, but this is part of what's frustrating with the Vision Pro experience is unless you're experiencing it, it's hard as an outsider to have a good feel for whether it's actually like a rewarding way to watch an entire Formula One race or basketball game or whatever it may be. And
Yeah, I mean,
so,
not to pull that card, but
yeah, I knew that was
Sam
going to be your counter.
Sam did say if he uses the Vision Pro or not. I'm going to assume no. You have not. I have, and I have no desire for command center approach. I want to sit
Yeah.
at the game. It feels like you're there. And again, you can get the sense of presence from the Oculus, which is much more low resolution and is not, the Vision Pro is just that much better, is that much more clear. If I want to watch a replay, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look up at the scoreboard and I'm going to watch a replay.
Oh boy.
No, I'm serious. And you're not going to
Yeah.
think about it. That's the way it's going to work. Now, our number one, maybe this is just a me thing. Maybe I just prefer being in a stadium and watching a game, and some people prefer watching it on a flat plane of glass. I don't know. Speak for yourself. Like, I like going to games, and I would like to go to more games. And the idea that I can go to games in my living room to me is
From
pretty
Taiwan.
awesome.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. I'm in regardless. I trust your instincts as a sports fan. I'm sure I would enjoy it. I'm not sure I would enjoy it every night, but I'm open to being persuaded once the Vision Pro arrives and becomes more of a fixture for all of us.
And number two, if I'm sitting courtside, why do I want to change my perspective? Have you had the opportunity to sit courtside at an NBA game?
I have many times, and it's great. I don't know. I mean, if you're watching like massive games with high stakes, sometimes having a different perspective, like being higher up, is actually better because you can see the entire play. Like courtside is a very specific, this is such a privileged ass conversation. Sitting courtside is a very specific experience such that it's distinct from the way I've consumed basketball my entire life. So for the biggest moments, I may want a more traditional consumption model.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could put cameras elsewhere in the stadium if you want to sit up in the nosebleed seats. You can do it without your nose bleeding with VR. But again, what what I would say is we will see. There's going to
Yeah.
be lots of experimentation of this. But to me, the idea of putting this contraption on your head just so you can have a uh, basically 2D experience is bizarre. Yeah, I don't understand why you'd even want to go to the trouble. The whole point of this is it is immersive. Now, I guess if you're in like a small apartment or whatever, and you can get this huge sort of screen, watching movies and stuff like that is going to be cool. But to me, the step change, what is just going to be drastically
Yeah.
different, is this idea of feeling like you're in a place. You're not going to feel like you're in a place if you're watching it on a screen within your thing. Now, that said, can you have stuff like one of the questions I would have is I enjoy while watching the game, like being on Twitter or chatting or whatever it might be. How's that going to work? Right? Are you going to
Part of
hold the
your
phone?
command center.
Now you can hold the phone in your hand and use it with the Vision Pro, but that is, you're losing some fidelity there. That's getting a little weird. Maybe, is there some sort of thing where
Vision
you're
Pro and
mostly
chill.
immersed, but you have
Yeah.
you have like a chat, but you could have a chat message just floating there, you know, next to you while you're in the stadium, right? Like it's
Mm,
like this is the thing. It feels like AR when you're there. Okay, it's VR, it's on your head, you're not there, but what is compelling about the Vision Pro and its fidelity is it feels like you're there. And so it's like imagine if you were in the stadium
yeah.
and you had AR glasses on. So you could be sitting courtside and also have a view of your messages or Twitter sort of on the side. You could be responding to that or whoever it might be. That's what it's like, except you're in VR. It's like inverts it. So you feel like you're there, but because you're wearing a VR thing, they can put anything on the screen that you want. And could you have that virtual track, whatever? Now, F1's a different situation. Like the F1 experience live, it's okay. It's cool to see like how fast the cars move and get that sense. But you're
Right.
basically just watching TV because the track is too big to sort of see the whole
Yeah,
thing.
you're watching the big screen the entire time you're
Right,
there, and
this
the
real
the
idea of getting
announcers actually help.
this concept of, like, where the cars are and then having the screen, I actually think this reel is pretty cool, and
Mhm.
of course, you could have things like clicking in, so you're in the driver's seat and you're, like, moving around the track, but at the end of the day, you want a big picture view of what's happening over a 4-mile racetrack, like, just
Sure.
in that view, like, I actually think for sports like that, a 2D perspective is better precisely because it's like a function of camera angles. If you need multiple camera angles, then yeah, the 2D perspective is probably going to be better. His point about moving around and feeling jarring because you're reorienting yourself, yeah, you probably get motion sickness. I can imagine if
Mhm.
this is sort of doing it too often. But an F1 race is fundamentally different than an NBA basketball game. An NBA basketball game is on a constrained space, like you're sort of you're right there, and so again, maybe all this, I'm just totally off base and I'll be wrong. I actually don't want to be a jerk and pull the I use this,
I experienced
particularly
it, you didn't, yeah.
particularly when the sports segment was like 5 seconds long. Okay. This is all based off of a very, very short.
Honestly, as you talk here, I'm imagining how obnoxious I'm gonna be when I go into the Apple Store for my Vision Pro demo, and they try to walk me through different features, and I'm like, "No, no, 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 just take me to the Fenway Park dugout and take me to courtside at the Warriors game. I don't really care about any of this stuff. Of all I've been waiting for is what it's like in this immersive sports environment."
Yeah. And so just to be clear, this is based on a very short experience, and I might be totally off base. Maybe Sam sort of has it right.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
No,
But
but
that's
the
the cool thing.
possibilities are what's exciting,
The
yeah.
possibilities are exciting. Maybe it ends up the answers is probably something in the middle, right? That's how it usually turns out. It's hard, but the cool thing is there will be folks experimenting with it and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I I think it's safe to say that it's going to be something different than what we have now in 10 years, 20 years,
Sure.
whatever it might be. Uh and I don't know any better than Sam or even Apple or the sports leagues.